the true meaning of Christmas. We're going to talk about that for the next 3 weeks, including today. But today I want to talk about the true meaning of Christmas as myth. We have to understand what myth means and what myth contains. Myth does not contain facts. Myth contains truth. And in order for us to identify with the truth, we need some drama. That's human nature. That's what we do. So this question of, is the Jesus story fact or is it fiction? How did it happen? And if it's fiction, do I just dismiss it? And if it's fact, how do I reconcile it with the conflicting stories and what my own intelligence tells me? How do I do that? Well, I may not be able to do it. And I'm not going to argue whether it's factually true or not. It's hard for me to reconcile it as factually true. But if it is for you, then great. That doesn't mean you can't look at it also as myth. Because myth is powerful. The language of myth is powerful. People learn, especially in this time when things were passed down through an oral tradition. For someone to write, there might be one person in 6 villages who could write. But all 6 villages were telling the stories and learning the learnings. And how do we keep people from falling asleep? We tell a good story. Not just so we don't bore them, but so we evoke the feeling in them of what it might have been like. Or a truth about how grand and wonderful it was that we can't say in words like, it was really wonderful and grand. If you describe something to somebody and you say, oh, it was so wonderful, it was so grand. If someone describes that to you, wonderful, grand, do you feel suddenly wonderful and grand and amazed? No, you don't, because those are conceptual words. We know what they mean, but they don't evoke a feeling in us. But I hope the reading that I just did and the song that I just sang evoked a feeling in you. And that is what myth is all about. That is what myth is all about. It's a story that is true, whose kernel, whose teaching, whose lesson, whose internal core is absolute truth. But it is a story beyond its setting in time and space. So the truth that lasts, its setting in time and space, is just the drama. It's beyond the point. It's beyond facts. We get trapped in the Western world by logic. And logic is great. And facts are great. If you need to catch a train, then it's good for you to know that the train leaves at 3. But if I'm trying to describe to you something amazing, if I tell you about an orange, it's orange and it's round and it's juicy and it's kind of tart. Do you feel an orange in your mouth? You might, if you've ever had an orange before. If you've ever had an orange before. Or if I tell you a story about, I'm just going to use my father because he was the first mythic story that came to mind in my life. My dad was larger than life in so many ways, and he was gruff. He could be really, really gruff. He could say things that made you shrink so small you were surprised he didn't actually dissolve through the floor. And he was kind. He talked baby talk to all of his animals. Not to all of his animals, to all animals everywhere. Does that give you a better story of my dad? Even just those 2 things then. He was gruff and he was kind. I have to add some oomph to it. And maybe there's a tiny bit of exaggeration in there. But you get it. Do you get a little bit about what my dad was? Maybe. I hope. I don't know. But if you can see a great big kernel, talking baby talk to my one-eyed cat and saying, "Oh, poor little gotcha kitty, poor little gotcha kitty. It hurts its feelings when it gets called a gotcha kitty, so I would never call it a gotcha kitty. Poor little gotcha kitty." That was my dad sitting on my front porch one day. My Army Colonel dad. You get how story makes it real. Story evokes feelings in you. Words and facts evoke mental activity, but story evokes feeling. And of course, the best way to get something is direct experience. The only way to really know what an orange tastes like is to taste an orange. And then I can evoke the feeling of the taste of an orange in you by saying, "Ooh, it's tart and juicy," and you know how you salivate when it first goes in your mouth. Then if you have had that experience, you will recognize it. But if you haven't had that experience, you're never going to know what an orange tastes like. And that's what religion is for, I believe. Religion is, at its best, it's supposed to evoke something within you that you then recognize as truth. And the stories and the words that do that are a little bit beside the point. A little bit beside the point. Myth is a way in. It's a way to get you into a particular attitude so that when you hear the meat of the story, you're already there. You're already there. So what I say is, think about that chapter that I read in Luke. Chapter 1 of Luke. That's what I read to you. I know the whole chapter, sorry. The mythic, there's no other word, but mythic amazement of it all. That not only did she give birth, she was a virgin and she gave birth. And not only that, when it was still not even showing, another baby in another woman's stomach who had been blessed by God started ranting and raving and saying, "Woo, I recognize you're carrying the Lord." And the two, you think about it, it's a little bit overdone. Can you imagine two pregnant women talking and going, let's see, "Blessed are you among women. Blessed is the child you are bear. But why am I so favored that the mother of my Lord should come to me? As soon as your greeting reached my ears, the baby in my womb leaped for joy. Blessed is she." Right? And then Mary says, "My soul glorifies the Lord, and my spirit rejoices in God my Savior, for he has been mindful of the humble state of his servant. All generations will call me blessed." Do you know, yeah, pregnant women, we can, when we are pregnant, get a little bit over the top. Like we're the first one who's ever been pregnant before. But I don't remember saying, "Blessed am I among women, and I will be for all generations to come." But what I understand is that these were stories that were taught in synagogues to Jews who learned by stories and who knew when they were being told a story that it was a story, that it had a truth to it in part, but that it was still a story. And it evoked that in them. If you want to say this man that's coming is really great, what better way to say that before he was even conceived, he was God, and the moment he was in a womb, others were leaping for joy and causing blessings. That gets you in an attitude of, okay, I gotta see this guy. If this is who this is, I gotta see this guy. Can you see how it takes you into the wonder, that mythicness of it? It's a way in to the Jesus story. And why is the Jesus story important? Well, there's a lot of metaphor in it. Jesus, who I do believe lived on this earth, was a man who was so close to his true nature, who understood so clearly and fully who he was, truly a child of God, as we all are. And in his adulthood, he went out of his way in his teachings to say, "I'm not special. All you have to do is do what I do." And when they said, "Well, what is that?" he said, "Love That's what he said. But would anybody have paid attention to a guy? Would he still be talked about 2,000 years later if the Gospels had been written? This baby was born to these people who had never been heard of before, and his message was love. We wouldn't be talking about it. Why would we be talking about it? And so the myth and the story was built up to not only to get the attention of the Jewish people, because the other thing that people who live in an oral tradition and understand story know is that there are archetypes. And this archetype of the virgin birth was not new to Jesus. For millennia before, in various religions, in various places around the world, there were gods born of virgins. In the teaching, in the knowing of the people to whom this story was originally told, the idea was, he is very, very, very special. And metaphorically, what I believe is being said is, our bodies are born from a pair of opposites always. And it's trying to say that Jesus was born from oneness, that oneness was his true nature. So they try to get rid of that pair of opposites. And it doesn't matter to me, because I get the oneness of that true nature. That's what I want to be. That's how I want to live. And Jesus, we're going to talk about next week, the metaphor of his awakening. Jesus is a perfect metaphor for our awakening. It's not about what he did. It's about what is within us. So that's why we pay attention to this. Because when I use these words, when I sing that song that puts you in that place, not only was she poor, but she had to go across to Bethlehem. She had to be counted, and there was no room at the inn. I'm going to get all that next week when I read the rest of the Matthew's version of the story. But all of this to say, this was a miracle from day one. Now, it was only 33 years later that anybody was around or noticed this guy. And then they started building the story so that it was an interesting story. So that it was a story not just interesting, but a story that evoked in you what the magnitude of this truth. Jesus the Christ. Jesus the Christed one. As in Buddha, the awakened one. That's what the Christ is. Jesus did it. We can do it. And the power of this story evokes that excitement in us. And I want to say right now that many of us, maybe most of us, maybe not, have had a moment in our lives of complete inner understanding of, I get it. It's all about love. There's nothing else. I'm not wrong. I'm not bad. No one is wrong or bad. All I need to do is love. It's all okay. We're all one. No one's different from me. Any of those things. Or something else that suddenly, it might have happened when you looked at a sunset or saw a tree that you really got. Oh my gosh, I am part of this earth. And it's part of me. And I'm part of everyone on this earth. And everyone on this earth is a part of me. All of that. Jesus was a man who was able to have that moment, that nanosecond, which I've had a few times in my life, and live it on a daily basis. So that we could know that it was possible. That it was possible. And that's the importance of the story, is that when you have a mystical experience, then everything changes. Everything changes. You can never go back completely to seeing the world as it was before. It's what I hear my friends in AA say, that you may drink again after you've been in AA, but you'll never not know that you're actually an alcoholic. And your drinking will never, ever be the same, because you can't lie to yourself anymore. That's what the mystical experience is. I may not be feeling it right now, but suddenly I know I can't lie to myself anymore. I can't call you other than me. If I'm good, then you have to be. We are one. There's no difference in us. We are organisms. We are one giant organism together. That's my belief anyway. A very oversimplification of my belief. But still, does the story have value? It does if it evokes in you that feeling that in a moment, with a realization of true love, everything can change. Everything can change. And that is the value of understanding myth. It's truth, not facts. Thank you. So let's take that into meditation for just a moment. Just start by being in a relaxed state. You can close your eyes or just soften them. Relax your jaw. Relax your shoulders. And breathe. You don't have to breathe any sort of way. There's no wrong way to breathe, but notice yourself breathing. And as you do, relax any place that is tense in you. Hands, fingers, feet. Your sitting muscles. Guided meditation is simply an effort to get us into a receptive space. Exactly what myth and story is for. To get us into a receptive space. And so I invite you to receive in this moment the true meaning of Christmas. Which means there is a love. One love. And it's who we all are. And it's joyous. And the tragedy is simply in the fact that we don't know it. We catch glimpses of it. And we use this love, we use this one love. We tend to pick and choose how we use it. But make no mistake, a mother's love for her child is the one love coming through the mother into the child. A woman's love for her wife. A man's love for his wife or husband. Friends' love for each other. Is all part of that one love being directed through individuals to other individuals. My love for my father, my father's love for my cat. all amazing, beautiful manifestations of the one love. The one love that is the truth of you, that is the truth of me. Breathe into it. It's yours. It's not waiting for you to get better or gooder or righter. It's just there for you. Breathe into it. And give of it freely, because there is no lack of it. You're being constantly refueled with that love. And that is the true meaning of Christmas. And that's what is meant by the songs when they say love came down. That the love that we are in our spirits gets embodied when we claim it. And then we can speak from love and act from love. And go out and be love in the world. Be love to our loved ones. Be love to our communities. Be love to the earth. And the hope is that the more we concentrate on this love, the more we believe in this love, the more time we spend with this love, the less choosy we get about where we put it. Blessed are we among all generations. And that's the story of Jesus. An embodiment of love that we could focus upon, that we could celebrate, that we could be amazed and awed by, and that we could decide was possible for us too. So I'm grateful for this story which points to the one love. I'm grateful for the one love that we all share. I'm grateful for your love and for mine, knowing that it is all one. So it is.